Welcome to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch and would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at JazzTime.com. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Rolex Cellini in white gold with a black diamond dial and diamond bezel and fluted bezel, reference 50609 RBR. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of the Cellini or Cellini, then tell you about where this watch stands in the lineup of other similar Cellinis, then talk to you about the case bezel dial bracelet, finally try it on and give you my thoughts. So let's start with the history. The Cellini has been out, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Cellini or Cellini. Okay, but at any rate, I'll say Cellini. The Cellini's been around for quite some time. Some were in the 1960s. I believe it was 1968 to be exact, that the Cellini, so that makes how many years? 50 years that the Cellini has been out. And it's Rolex's premier dress watch. Now, they make many different sorts of watches. There are two main lines of watches that Rolex makes: is a professional, which is AKA sports watch, or tool watch, and their dress watch, which is the Datejust. Now, the Datejust isn't a true dress watch because it's not on a leather strap. Traditionally, dress watches are on a leather strap. Datejusts generally are not. Some of them are. There's exceptions to that, but most of them are on a metal bracelet, and that is beneficial because it allows the watch to be much more practical, be worn in water, be worn when you're doing your dishes, etc. So that's their dress line. They can be used both in sports and dress, but more dress oriented. But their Cellini line is purely dress watch. So this is the kind of watch you'd be wearing with a suit to your work if you're a working professional, or when you're dressed up. This is the watch that you'd be wearing, a dress watch. Now, it was introduced in 1968, and it has been with Rolex all the way up until just a few years ago, early 2020, something around like 2020 or 21 or something like that. The Cellini line was discontinued. Now you might think, well, why would Rolex discontinue the Cellini? Well, to be quite honest, the Cellini was not doing that well in terms of sales. So what do companies do when a product isn't doing well? Well, what Rolex did, which is very bright of them, smart of them, and comes to no surprise, is they cut the line, they reconfigured it, and then re-released it as a different line. Changed the name, changed the marketing, changed up a few things, made it look a little bit more fresh, and they re-released it, and they called it now the 1908, which is basically just a Cellini. Okay, now it's okay for the name of the line to change. It gives it a fresh coat of paint, if you will. Now, this is still part of the Cellini line, what you're looking at here, and this was before the change. Okay, now whether you change the name or not, it doesn't really matter because the watch is still a Rolex, it's still a dress watch, and it's still beautiful. So that's a little bit about the history of the Cellini. Okay, now let's talk about where this watch stands in the lineup. This watch was produced later in around 2020. So it's a modern Cellini, but it's right before the discontinuation and right before when Cellini, let's call it the modern Cellini, from let's say 2000 to 2020. In those 20 years, many modern Cellinis were being produced. This is an example of one of them. We have many other ones on our website, by the way. If you like these dress watches of Rolex, then you can go to our website at jazztime.com or click on the link in the description below, and you can see many other Cellinis. There was tons and tons of variations, really. They had it in like really every single variation that you can imagine. I mean, we have 114 listings, not all of them in stock, but we can get most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. And they just had tons of variations with complications, with seconds, with moon phase, with different bezels, dials, materials. And we have literally 114 of them listed on our website. So they made a lot of variations of it. Now they pared that all down in 2023, the very end of it, and made it streamlined to the 1908 line, which only has 2 dial colors per material. So that makes 6 1908s. That's pared down from 100 different variations. They pare it down to just literally 6. Not a lot. And so it's not a lot. Okay. And actually, sorry, I take it back. It's 5. They make it to 5, but then you have a bracelet. You can change the bracelet. So there's only 5. yellow gold, white gold, and platinum. But anyways, this is the Cellini line. So that's a little about where this watch stands in the lineup. Now let's talk about the case here. Now, what is really nice about the case? Well, first of all, this is one of the few watches that Rolex does in size 39. Why is it good in 39? Well, a watch is very generally a sports watch is around 40 millimeters, and a small men's watch is around 36. Now, this watch being right at 39 is quite nice because it's a, this is a dress watch. It's not meant to be too big. It's not a sports watch. It's not meant to be big. And also, take a look at the profile. The side profile is very thin. I want to say it's around probably 11 millimeters, thinner than a Datejust, which is at 12. It's quite thin. It might even be 10 millimeters, but it is quite thin. I don't have the exact measure, but you can tell it doesn't really matter. The point is it's thin. You don't want it too thin because it doesn't have any heft or any weight to it, but it does look thin enough to definitely slip under your cuff, not be too cumbersome. And this is the kind of watch, like I said, you'd be wearing with your suit, and it's a dress watch. So the case size is really nice. Okay, and also this watch is made in white gold. They don't make any of the Cellinis in anything except precious metal. No stainless steels, or it's only precious metal. So when you see a white gold, this white color metal, it is white gold. Very nice, actually. Very, very undercover, very classic, very smooth. It's a nice case. Okay, let's go on to the bezel here. Now the bezel is really interesting. Now usually on Rolex you'll have a fluted bezel or a diamond bezel, not both. In this situation, they decided to add them both because the fluted bezel is really an iconic part of Rolex. It's actually the most iconic part aside from the crown of Rolex. So what they did is they masterfully put a fluted bezel, and then they placed small diamonds, not too big and gaudy, but just nicely done, adorned around the edge of the bezel. And it gives it a very nice touch. You can hardly even notice it, to be honest, unless you look carefully. So it's not like, oh, I'm wearing a diamond watch, it looks feminine. No, it doesn't look like that at all. It just looks like a beautifully done watch with diamonds on the end. So I really think they did a great job on it, and they don't do that in the newer models. So I hope that they bring it back, or I guess you could just buy this one. Okay, now that is the bezel. Now let's talk about the dial. Now the dial also is quite interesting. Rolex does not use these kind of sword hands. You see, it kind of looks like a sword, a double-sided sword, where it has like a stem where you could grab, and then like a pointed triangle. This is a kind of a double-sided sword hand. They don't use this kind of hand, and it's a very dressy hand. You might think, well, what's the big deal? Well, if you put luminescence on the hand, it makes it look very sporty. If you do it the way they did it, like this, it looks like it looks very dressy, and also very beautifully done. And it's all done in white gold, by the way. If you look at the hour markers, it's very, very classic, very tastefully done. If you look at the hour markers, they're done in white gold index. But instead of putting luminescence there, which you could allow the watch to see at night, they chose to keep it with diamonds. Of course, very beautiful diamonds, D-color, internally flawless, perfect natural stones, and they put them all at the hour markers. And it just adds a very nice touch. You can barely even tell it's diamonds, but it's there. So it's just a very dressy, very elegant watch without being over the top. Okay, now let's move on to the movement. Now you cannot see the movement, but the movement is a 3132. It's an automatic movement. It's very nice. You can't see it anyways. Just it's there. It's great. Now the strap is on a black strap. Now you could get this on a different strap. You can buy it from Rolex. They also have brown. I like it on black because the dial is black. So black on black is just your standard, black colored watch. But it's a dressy watch. Can be worn as and it looks very nice, and also has a very nice buckle, as you can imagine. Rolex makes some of the best buckles in the business, if you ask me. I really like the way that they do it. I don't think really anyone does buckles quite like quite like they do. Now the buckle here is just a pin buckle. This is also very classic. It's like a belt. It's a pin buckle, but it's not just a regular pin buckle. It has a nice emblem on there, and on the underside it has all the white gold hallmarks. Okay, and the strap is alligator strap. Now, of course, you can change it to whatever you want, which is a cool thing about leather straps. And over time, by the way, the leather straps wears out. You got to change it anyway, so you might want to go with a different color. or whatever it is. Okay, you can actually get order these aftermarket straps online, and then you could use a spring bar, quick release spring bar, so that you can swap it very easily. That way you can swap the straps depending on what color suit or clothing you're wearing that day, which is also kind of a cool thing about this one. Okay, anyways, that's the buckle. Time to try this watch on. Now, I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. I have a 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see here, the watch looks really good on my wrist. It's not too big, not too small. 39 millimeters, as I said, is a very nice size. It's just a little bit smaller than a men's sports watch. I do like the Cellini line. I think it's quite beautiful, and I think it's also one of the benefits is that the retail price on this watch was 20,000 something, and even after its discontinuation, it's still selling for under retail. So it's always been selling under retail because it's not a sports watch, but that doesn't mean it's not a desirable watch. It's still a beautiful watch. People love it, and we've sold quite a few of them, and it's quite a bargain considering you get a Rolex of this caliber in a precious metal, in the teens. So if you want to find out about this watch, you want to buy it, click on the link in the description below. I give 2 thumbs up, and if you want to own it, go to jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.